Coming around in front of you now, then we've got the showgirls from the 1998 show. They're in a vehicle supplied by Peter Stewart Ford. I think sitting up at the front we've got Jackie Moore. Jackie's the current show princess. Also we've got Belinda Ward, she was the charity princess this year. Alana Mills, she won the junior princess. Anna Bowman was the charity princess. On behind them we've got the Killarney Historical Society's float. And they've told me to tell anyone that's interested they'll be pulling into the back of the RSL grounds. Behind the RSL grounds. You can have a look at any of those old wares that they've got there. Coming out here and showing us all the motorbikes today, John. Lions Club coming around now. Looks like they're handing out a new lolly jam of their back of the Toyota there from the Lions Club. Made assets in the community, they must. And we've got the kids with all their beamers on their bicycles. In the centre, you can see we've got the local members of the Killarney Pony Club. Doing us very proud this year, the Killarney Pony Club. Haven't got a lot of members, but every time they go out, they seem to do very well. Held together by a few good strong campers from the community.
Mitchell's riding his horse in this. I don't know.
They didn't even mention what they were.
Stud captain now, and Jeff Frank's going to make his way over here and let us know how the stud cattle went this morning. Oh, we've got the stud cattle coming around the ring there now.
I reckon when you get around near where that fire truck is, in Richmond, on the night we've ended up with over 50 men. Three champions for the show. Caroline.
Oh, that's all.
The three champion female was exhibited by John in the British breeds. The grand champion bull was Kyle Hereford, exhibited by Chris Whitney. And grand champion British breed female and sons with Murray Gray. That's the front two. When he was invited over to go as a member of Warwick, quite confident. Parliament, now we have Lawrence here. And we look forward to having a small association with Lawrence.
Made it minister because of the reach
Mr.
up.
President, Mayor of the Warwickshire, Bruce Green, our showgirls, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second opportunity that I've had to actually open the Killarney show, and I must say that I am very privileged to be here with you again today and to have the very pleasant duty of doing this. Of course, as we all know, our shows are an opportunity to showcase what we have on offer in our own local community, and I've had the opportunity to go through the pavilion to be able to see it, and certainly the range of handiwork and craft, the range of produce is very, very good, and a credit to the area and a credit to the people who go to the time and effort to make sure that they can support their local Killarney show in actually presenting and showcasing their own local community. And I think we all realise the importance of local shows because they are a community hub, they are a community centre. For many people, they're something which they look forward to, the major event of the year. And I think that we always should view that. But not only that, it's a great opportunity for the young people of the community to come together as well and enjoy what's on show at Sideshow Alley, and I'm sure many of the parents as well enjoy that. But I'd just like to say that we also should enjoy our shows with more of a contemporary flavour. And traditionally, they have been an opportunity to showcase the local community and what it has on offer, the latest in farm machinery, those sorts of things. Farming today and living in a rural community is a great challenge. We realise that, and ways that we continue to decentralise and provide services for people in rural areas are right up there at the forefront of thinking for a lot of people in the local community and also in the higher echelon in the state, and I need to say as well, the nation. To ensure that we can swap ideas on how we can make our enterprises run even better, because one thing we have today is a great deal and great depth of information. We've got a great many people out there in our rural communities that are actually trying new things.
Okay, thank you, Lawrence, for those kind words. The next young gentleman, I guess I'll introduce you, ladies and gentlemen, is the local president of the Killarney Show Society, Mr. Anthony Flint.
short eyesight, and they can only see for about 2 to 3 metres, and in that distance they can only see your shadows. So if you're standing still, the snake can't see you, it can't recognise you as a person, so you're going to be quite visible. But if you start jumping around, or maybe if you scare a snake, you might walk up along without even seeing it, it might come up off the ground, it might be moving around wildly, it might even look at you, stand still anyway. Because after about 10 to 30 seconds, that snake's going to forget about you. And the reason for that is snakes haven't got a memory bank. They can't store information for very long at all. So after about 10 to 30 seconds, you're going to be quite safe again. Now, in the meantime, that snake's going to be staring at you, don't worry, while you're standing still, because you're the last thing that saw moving. And he's going to have some pretty weird thoughts going through his head too, don't worry. While he's there, he's going to be staring straight at you, he's going to be saying to himself, oh, I definitely saw that moving. I definitely saw that. Oh, hang on, what was I looking at again? Oh, I can't remember. Oh, it can't be too bad. He'll drop back on the ground, and because you've had the good sense to stand very, very still, you're going to avoid a bite. And it really is that simple, and it does work very well. Now, bear in mind, the snakes we're using, the pit, are actually hand-raised. They're not captive, they've been captive bred. They're not actually wild snakes, so they don't really act like a wild snake, but standing still will definitely work even in front of a wild snake as well. So okay, standing still does work very, very well, as long as you see the snake. But what about the snakes that you don't see? What about the one that's lying down under that big, under that heavy bush you're about to walk through under that long grass? Well, there is something you can do to protect yourself even from those snakes, and that's wear proper clothing. Now, if you're going to go in the bush, or you're going to go somewhere where there might be snakes about, don't wear shorts and thongs. Now, unfortunately, so many people do that, and that's why in Australia, 90% of all our snake bites occur from the knee down, and most of those bites are down around the ankle area. That's because we've got appropriate clothing. Now, you can protect yourself from most of our snakes in Australia by a decent pair of leather boots and a decent pair of trousers like jeans. And that's because most of our snakes have only got small fangs. They haven't got huge, big, long fangs. Even this one here can't bite through my boots. And he's a fairly big snake. Once he's out in the open, you can have a good look at him. His fangs are way too small as well. Now that's a collet snake, by the way, and it comes from the Darling Downs area. And out there, a lot of people refer to this as a the Downs tiger, which gives it more of a scary name. And that's because it does act a little bit like a tiger snake. But as big as that snake is, he can't bite through my boots. Actually, there's only 2 snakes in Australia that can. One is a death adder, and one is a taipan, because both those snakes have long fangs. So you can protect yourself, and bear in mind, you don't always feel snake bites. A lot of times, if you don't see the snake, you don't even know what's happening to you. All of a sudden, you start feeling crook, you might even collapse, and by the time the hospital staff work out what's going on, it might be a little bit late for you. Now, collar snakes are an aggressive snake in the wild, and if I pick him up and have a look underneath him, he looks a little bit like a red-bellied black snake, although he's a little bit more orange than a red belly. But when these snakes are babies, they've got a bright reddy-coloured, fire-inch reddy-coloured belly, and their back's a lot browner, almost a black in colour, so people do get confused with the difference between these and a red-bellied black snake. Now, that's not so bad because they are black snakes. The only difference is this is number 8 on the world's most dangerous scale. And being number 8 means it can be a fatal bite if you don't do anything about it, and it certainly is a lot more dangerous than getting bitten by a red belly. But they certainly are very common snakes out in the Darling Downs. Around Toowoomba and those areas there, they're quite a common snake, and certainly one of the more common ones out here. Maybe in this area you might find there 1 or 2 because you're sort of down the bottom part of the Darling Downs area. They're certainly a fairly common snake out there. Now, one thing with snakes too, they have to have water to survive. They have to drink water the same as we do. Without it, they can't live very long. And that's why you quite often see snakes around water. Now, you might be down by your favourite swimming hole, or where you like to go fishing. One day you might be strolling down there, and next thing you know, there's a snake in front of you on the track. Now, that'd be good, because you can stand still and you'll be quite fine. If you see a snake in the water with you today, be very, very careful. Snakes swim very, very well, and they can bite you on the water the same as they can on land. So it does pay to be very careful, because a snake's venom's inside its mouth all the time. It's like saliva, it's always there. So be very careful with that one. And then again, you might be into fishing. That might be your favourite. That might be your favourite pastime. And this is one of the most common things that happen to people to do with snakes when they're fishing. They tell me they're down there fishing away, having a good old time, and next thing you know, they're in this situation here, they've got a snake going across their feet. And the reason they got this situation was they're standing still, they're standing there fishing. The snake doesn't see them because they're not moving, and next thing you know, they look down and might be a snake there. Now, what's the first reaction for most people right about now? Jump in the air and try and take off. Now, that's unfortunate, because as soon as you make that sudden movement, what happens? The snake sees that sudden movement, thinks it's under attack, and it turns around and bites at whatever's moving. Now, unfortunately, you've probably got bare feet because you're down there fishing. And next thing you know, crunchy, you've got a snake hanging on one of your toes. So why not stand there? Instead of running away, you just stand very, very still. Now I know that's a big ask, and it's all right for me to say that because I like snakes. A lot of people say that to me, by the way. I say, oh yeah, it's all right for you, you don't mind snakes. I can't stand still with a snake around my feet. But even if you've got bare feet and you're standing very still, you're going to be invisible because the snake only reacts to movement. And it doesn't matter how bad your feet smell, the snake's not going to smell them. He hasn't got a nose he can smell with like we have. He uses his tongue to pick up scent, so it's not going to recognise you as a person or your smelly feet or anything like that. You're going to be quite fine. Now, I know what's going to happen though. You're going to be pretty terrified, aren't you? And what happens when you're really terrified? The old knees give out on you, they also they start to wobble away, and then you go into body twitches. Well, that's okay, that is called fear, and that's really understandable, but that's quite passable, because that's not really sudden movement. And I don't think a snake's going to look at it and go, so the knee's not going to go, oh, must be on someone's foot and go, and grab hold of you. You should be quite fine. And seriously, there is something you can do in this situation if you want to make yourself feel better. And that's scream. Let out a real big blood curdling scream from the pit of your stomach. Why not? Screaming works very, very well at dumping anxiety. It always has done. That's why people scream when they suddenly get a fright. Because all of a sudden your body goes, oh, thank you for that. You start to feel better, and you're not going to worry the snake anyway. And the reason why you're not going to worry the snake is because they're actually totally deaf. They haven't even got ears. Snakes pick up vibrations through the ground via a sensor in their jaw. So it doesn't matter how much noise you make as far as yelling, screaming or whatever, as long as you stand still, you're going to be invisible. It really is quite easy thing to do in front of the snake, as long as you can remember those simple rules. So that's your collar snake. Certainly is number 8 on the world's most dangerous scale. Certainly does make it a very dangerous snake, but then again, he's not quite as dangerous as one other snake you would find around this area here, I'd say, although I don't know this area very well, and that's your tiger snake. Now, tigers are the 4th most dangerous snake in the world, and actually tiger snakes in Australia have killed more people than any other snake put together. So it certainly does make them a very dangerous animal. And one of the main reasons why tigers are so dangerous and why so many people get hurt by them is the fact that instead of trying to get away from us, tigers as soon as stand and fight. And you do it very, very well. Actually, they pull about a third to half their body up off the ground. They flatten their head out as flat as they can get it, and that's to make themselves look as big and mean as they can. Now, teenage boys know where I'm coming from here. I don't have to go into full explanations with them, because what happens when you get in a fight? You puff the old chest out, you bring those biceps right up, and you're saying to your opponent, come on mate, I'm going to hurt you. And that's exactly what that snake's saying. He's saying, come and try me, and you might get hurt. Now, it is mostly bluff. Don't worry, he's terrified. He doesn't want to come in contact with a person, an animal like us. We're far too big. So you can do one of two things. You can stand still, and yes, you will disappear after a very short time, because even a wild snake like a tiger isn't going to attack something that's not moving simply because it's not a threat. Or you can take it on. Now that's why so many people get hurt by them, because all of a sudden there's a snake sitting up in front of them, and they pick up a piece of wood or a shell and they say, well, there's a nice good target, and they take the big swipe at it. Now if you miss it or hurt it, it's going to attack. They're very accurate strikers, and if they do bite you, there's some pretty potent venom inside that mouth, and it might take you as long as 12 months to get over their bite. Now, some people don't get over it, because 50% of all people bitten by tiger snakes in Australia have actually died. That's a very high strike rate. It certainly is, means that snake is a very dangerous snake, but at least there is good news here. You don't have to die from a snake bite anymore, not in this day and age, because we have good first aid, and I'm going to show you that very shortly. And also, our hospitals have got antivenoms for all our snakes, all your local snakes around your area. Your hospital's got antivenom for you, so you don't have to worry about suffering too much from a snake bite as long as you apply the right first aid. And we're going to get to that very, very shortly. So that's your tiger. Don't go off the colour. Very, very hard snake to recognise in that way, because these snakes, I've seen them pure white, I've seen them jet black, I've seen one that was completely yellow, I've seen one that was completely gold colour, I've seen them with all sorts of coloured stripes on them, yellow, white and orange. It's very, very confusing if you try to identify the snake by colour, because you're more than likely going to get it wrong, especially if you don't know quite what sort of snake it is. And they get a lot bigger than that too, by the way, so they can be a lot more of a dangerous snake than this one here. But unfortunately, as dangerous as what the tiger is, and he certainly is a very dangerous animal, you do have one worse animal around here, and it's one that I can't warn people about enough, because unfortunately, this snake has got a very, very boring name, and because it's got a very, very boring name, not many people are scared of it, and that's why in Australia, actually last year, almost 2,500 people got bitten by this snake. We had 3,000 snake bites all up, a large majority of them from this animal here, and it certainly makes a very, very dangerous snake. So I've got two in there to give you a little look at how different the colours can be for the same sort of snake. There's one's almost jet black and the other one's very light colour. So before I do get them out though, I'd like to ask for a little favour. Now the favour I'm going to ask for is one of a donation. Now it is a free show for you, and by the way, we'd like to thank Killarney Show Society for inviting us down here to do these shows for you. But during our show we do like to ask for a donation because we need your help. Because without the help from the audience or people that watch our show, without your donations we can't continue our work. It makes it very, very hard for us financially, and we can't keep doing our work. So we do like to ask for a donation. Now normally I like to ask for $2 because I think, well, that's not too much to put on people for some good entertainment and also some life-saving information. And first aid is life-saving information, by the way, because if you do know how to do first aid, you're not going to die. It really is that simple. So I'd like to walk around with my hat. Maybe you can spare a donation. That's fine. Now, oh, thanks very much. Now, please don't panic if you don't want to make a donation. Actually, he's very, very good security, that bag. Actually, I'd like to see the taxman get his hand in there and get it right too, wouldn't he? Now, actually, if you do want to stick your hand in, that's fine, but you're going to need one of these, unfortunately. This is called a snake bite first aid kit. That's all it is. A little piece of bandage called a crepe bandage or elastic bandage. Now, this little piece of material will save your life as long as you've got it on you. They only cost about $10. They're not heavy, they're not bulky, they're very, very easy to carry around. They're not a nuisance. And at least if you do have this unfortunate accident with a snake, then you're going to save your life. As long as you use it correctly, and within the first 5 minutes of getting bitten, actually the sooner you get this on, the sooner it starts working. And it's very, very easy to apply. Now if I was bitten on the hand, I'd take out my bandage, go over top of the bite a couple of times, then overlap and work my way down the fingertips or down on the toes if I was bitten on the leg, then overlap and work my way back up again. Now, as I'm putting this on, I'm putting on firm but not tight. It doesn't have to be tight because it's not a tourniquet. They went out quite a few years ago. And the reason why you don't have to tourniquet anymore is because the venom's not in your main bloodstream. It's only sitting just under the skin of what's called lymphatic system or lymph node glands. Now, that venom's going to stay there. It's not going to move as long as you remember a few little simple rules. And one of the main rules to remember is don't wash off the venom actually before you put your bandage on. And the reason for that is when you get to hospital, they want to identify the snake that's bitten you. So they take a swab, they swab that venom, they put it into a test and it's called a venom detection kit. In about 15 minutes time, they know exactly what sort of snake's bitten you, then they know what sort of antivenom to use. So it's very, very cool. There's no guesswork. And guess what? You don't have to take the snake to hospital anymore. Now that was policy a few years ago. They say, hey, bring the snake in so we can identify it. Yeah, right. If you ever try to catch a wild snake, not an easy job. They don't want to go to hospital with you. And besides getting bitten again, which happens to a lot of people by the way, you're jumping around trying to bash that snake to death, you're actually moving. And that's what you don't want to do. Because even with a bandage on, if you're going to keep moving your muscles about, you're still going to pump venom through your system, so you're still going to get venom right through your system. So put your bandage on straight over top of clothing, put a splint on your arm or leg, then lay on the ground and don't move. Now if you can do that, you've got at least 5 hours before you need medical treatment. And that's a long time. Have a little think about it. Actually, this little piece of material is that effective that if you get it on very quickly, a lot of times you won't even know you've got venom in your system until you get to hospital. And the reason you find out then very quickly is because as soon as they take this little piece of material off, about 15 seconds later you know just how serious the situation is, and then you say to yourself, well, lucky I got that on when I did, because about 10 minutes after that you're going to be very, very ill if you've got a good bite, and then it's up to the hospital staff to look after you, and they can as long as they've got you there. But if you come in without doing that first aid, you're going to be in very bad condition, and it makes the job a lot harder for the hospital staff. Okay, this little snake certainly is a very dangerous animal. There's 2 of them in here. Now please, while these snakes are out, keep your hands and everything back over the side of the pen. They're far too dangerous to muck around with. You'll probably wonder why when I tell you the name of the snake. It's actually called eastern brown or common brown. Most people call them brown snakes. Now, most people are familiar with that, with the name brown snake. It's one of the more common snakes. And I say to people, and they go, oh yes, so what, brown snakes? Well, what a lot of people don't realise is the brown snake is the second most dangerous snake in the world, number 2. Actually, you only find one more dangerous snake on the face of the earth than the brown snake, and that's the taipan. Now, most people know how dangerous the taipan can be, but they don't realise how dangerous a little snake he can be. Now, if I stir him up a little bit, he moves along very, very fast, and that's one of the things that makes him so dangerous, because notice every time I let him there, he goes straight for that hole. Need to keep away from that. Oh, no, sorry, it's over there, you're right. Don't panic yet, my mistake. So the brown snake is a very, very fast moving animal, very, very shy until you torment him. Now as soon as he goes into attack mode, he's a very, very aggressive snake. And as soon as he starts fighting, if you take a swing at him and miss him, he's certainly going to attack mode. What are you going to hit, isn't he?
33.71 seconds.
Where are you going? And notice the difference in colours. They're both identical snakes and they've got 2 different colours, so that's how hard it is to identify a snake. just by colouring. It's very, very hard to do, and that's why people make mistakes. Now, it's a bit like a black snake, but it's definitely not. Now, if you to get bitten by a brown snake, and that's hard to do, by the way, because even brown snakes can't bite through a decent pair of jeans or boots. They've got tiny little fangs. But if you do get a bite, inside your mouth, inside your body is going to be some very lethal venom. Actually, it's that lethal. If I took one drop of venom out of one of these snakes' mouths now, put that drop of venom in a teaspoon, took a normal household pin, dip the head of that pin in the venom, pulled it out, shook all the excess venom off, there'll still be enough venom on there to kill 3 adults. So next time you see one, don't just say, oh, it's only a brown snake. Now notice that, as soon as there was movement, that snake went cranky. He's typical brown snake, pulled himself back in an S shape, and he's ready to attack. So killing snakes is not the best thing to do anyway, because number one is you've got to get close to the snake. That's when people come unstuck. They don't realise how fast they can move and how dangerous they are. And number two is, I might kill a snake in my backyard today, and then tomorrow there might be another one. And the reason for that is food. Now, these snakes feed on rats and mice. That's their favourite food. That's where you quite often find them, in the old buildings like barns and hay sheds, and also around chook houses or bird aviaries or wheat silos, because there's always rats and mice there. So if you want to get rid of the snake, lay some rat baits. That's the best thing to do. And there's some good rat baits about now, by the way, that only kill rats and mice and nothing else. It won't kill your cat or dog or any native animals. Lay them around your place. And after a while, the snake's going to get hungry because there's no food left. They're not territorial. They're going to go looking for food. It's that simple. And you've got rid of not only rats and mice, don't pull your hands over it. You've got rid of not only rats and mice, you've also got rid of the snake wolves without touching it, and you've also making sure none of the snakes come back in its place. So that is really one of the best things you can do. So remember, a decent pair of trousers and decent pair of boots will keep you protected from most snakes, because they can't bite through, bar the death out of the Taipan. But standing still is the absolute best thing you can do. If I torment the snake, actually if I stand very, very still, I can probably put him out around my boots here. And without a problem at all, he's going to try and hide around because I'm not moving. I'm invisible. He can't see me. He's looking for movement. He can't smell me. He can't hear me. But if you can't stand still and you do end up jumping, it comes right down to that little piece of material, that little white bandage. At least it'll give you the time you need to get the right sort of first aid, and it'll get to the hospital, and at least they can look after you when you get there. And quite seriously, most people use these for other things besides snake bite. They use it for cuts and abrasions and sprains and all sorts of things. But if you've got it on you and you happen to get bitten by a snake, you're going to save your life. Really is that simple. So please remember that. Now that's the end of our show. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll probably get another show in today, I reckon, before knock-off time. Not quite sure, but more work and watch that as well. Thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, it's good that they show.
Wouldn't